Hey everybody, this is Jason, and do another video with Chris and Kate over there somewhere. And we're doing another one where we're just going to be talking about some movies that are maybe under the radar, little known, maybe forgotten. And we're just going to talk about some movies in general. I think we're all going to just, all three of us take turns just talking about a movie, maybe put it over, talk a little bit about it, why we like it, maybe a little bit about the movie itself. And then, of course, I know Chris definitely likes people at the end of this video leave comments, discuss about what we put in there. Maybe you have some of your own films that you might like to share with us, and you can put them below. Even do a response video would be cool. And we could talk a little bit about that moving forward, because there's so much stuff out there that it's just impossible to know about everything. So with that being said, I will throw it to Chris, let him go first, since I can tell he's really excited with his tea, ready to take it on here.
All right, so yeah, the first movie I have is not necessarily totally under the radar, but one that kind of got passed by, and it's Death Sentence. And Death Sentence was released in 2007, was directed by James Wan, and stars Kevin Bacon as Nick Hume, Garrett Hedlund as Billy Darley, John Goodman as Bones Darley, and Kelly Preston as Helen Hume. It has an IMDb rating of 6.7. But to give you an idea of what the movie's about, essentially, it's this kind of upper middle class white collar guy, and his son's about ready to go play hockey. And on their way home from one of his hockey games, they stop and get gas, and his son ends up getting killed by this gang member as part of a gang initiation. And the guy, Nick Hume, played by Kevin Bacon, has an interaction with the guy that killed his son. But when they go to talk about their what they could possibly get in terms of a punishment for this guy, it was like 3 to 5 years easy, but he wanted him to go away for life. So as a result, he ends up stalking this dude and killing him, which sparks a battle royale with this gang, because the guy he killed ended up being the head gang guy's brother. So it's just an action-packed movie, typical James Wan. It wasn't received well, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it was so bloody, almost to a point of, I wouldn't say nonsensical, but it was toeing the line. But just kind of an interesting fun fact, Garrett Hedlund, who played Billy Darley, the head of the gang, they asked him to shave his head and gain some weight, which is why you can't really recognize him in the movie. But he also watched documentaries about lions to kind of tap into that animalistic nature that Billy's character kind of embodies. So I don't know if either of you have seen that one. It's really good. I think, Jason, you were showing the movie cover there.
Yeah, I've seen it. It was really good. I was impressed. I can't remember who got me to watch it. Maybe it was you, Chris. You or Monty. Somebody did. It was good, though.
Yeah, I love the movie. I saw it in the theater. It's definitely like Death Wish, Charles Bronson's Death Wish. It has that vibe of just taking the law into your own hands. Very like a revenge thriller. It felt really realistic, which is the big thing, because the one, I know we don't want to get too deep in the woods with all these with the films or whatever, but I will say, and I know since y'all both watched it, that the first time he ends up attacking the first guy he finds, it's like a typical like soccer dad, baseball dad, whatever, hockey dad. He's like fumbling around trying to grab him. He's falling over. He's second guessing himself. He basically essentially accidentally kills them. It's not really necessarily on purpose per se. It's just a complete cluster. And, and it's like, it felt real. Like, he didn't wake up. It wasn't like Billy Badass, like just like that. It took a while for him to really decide to go that route. And I just felt like it was a lot more realistic. It wasn't like he all of a sudden became like Batman and was just like, oh, you're the Batman. It wasn't like that. And so it was like, it felt real. It was like, this guy is hurting. It sucks. Yeah. It's like his other son is surviving barely, throughout the movie, is he gonna live or not? And it just makes you really feel like this is like real life, opposed to a typical Hollywood movie. So yeah, I agree. It was a really good movie.
I think my favorite thing about that movie was probably the scenes where Kevin Bacon and John Goodman exchange dialogue. Those
Help you.
I need guns.
I don't know you.
I came from the Four Roses.
I'm gonna guess you're a little bit far from home. Well, don't let me smell fear on you. Fear is for the enemy. Fear and bullets. Lots of fucking bullets. You got the bastard of bastards. 357 for guaranteed head removal. That's a sweetie. You got your standard size 45, super size. That's a fucking hungry man right there. And you got the king of mayhem, half cannon, sword of justice. Take this fucker to the Holy Land, start your own crusade. Any one of these is bound to make you feel better about what's bothering you.
What about that one?
This one?
All right, I'll take this and these.
That's $3 fucking grand worth of killing. You got $3 grand worth of killing to do?
There's 5.
Well, that makes you a preferred customer. I'm gonna give you some accessories. Just because you got a thing about you. You have got a killing thing about you. You surely do. You the motherfucker after my son, Billy?
He's your son.
That'd make you the motherfucker killed Joe, that right? You killed my youngest. Now you're after Billy, yeah?
Yeah. I'm after him.
Well, Billy's no damn doing of mine. Anything he did's no damn doing of mine. So, somebody needs to make somebody pay for something to make themselves feel better. Billy'd be the one to pay. Kill the little piss pants. See if it makes a damn day's difference to me. Dad to dad. Don't tell me about it. Just go do it. Lord knows I've been patient. And you're a cash fucking customer. But you think about asking me where Billy is. I'll kill you. Go your way now. Go with God. Bag full of guns.
dialogue. Those two have awesome chemistry, and but the way they showed him like looking through the gun manuals, because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, it added that layer of authenticity.
Yeah, and then like when John Goodman doesn't want to like turn on it because those are like his boys, the ones that committed the killing, and he knows that they're terrible people. He knows that they do terrible things, and he encourages them to help do these things. But he realizes, like, what this guy's gonna do? He's gonna kill people. So he's just gonna be like, listen, I'm walking away, but I don't mind helping you either. Like you're on your own, whatever. I like you said, is that those conversations were really good between the two of them. So it felt real, which is a hard thing to do in Hollywood. A movie that feels quasi-realish, So
since it doesn't seem like you want to cover this one, I picked Short Eyes. So the 1977 movie adapted from a 1974 play about county jail. So I thought we were going to originally do that one before we did The Experiment, and it's the only really obscure one I could think of off the top of my head. Monty, he was supposed to be here talking, but he's asleep. So. Yeah, sorry about that.
Chasing all those chickens around.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, Jason. Hold on. From that GIF earlier.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I came with props.
Yes.
So director was Robert M. Young. The play was written and the movie written by Miguel Pinheiro. It also had Bruce Davidson, Jose Perez, Nathan George, Don Blakely, and Sean Elliott. Like, they were really young in this. I don't know, it was raw, it was gritty. I could see it being, quasi-representative of the time. The stories I heard from the people who had been where I was working for the last 30 years, the way they talked about their experiences, it lined up with this movie. I liked it for that reason. And they film it. They filmed. Let's see if I remember. I wrote down where they had it. No, I didn't write it down. But there was this shut down section of a detention center in New York where they filmed it, and then they had the sliding bar doors, which you really don't see anymore. Our jail has them on the old side of the building that was initially built in 1966, where it's sort of like pocket doors, they slide this way, that they now just use for storage. And then the section built in the 1980s is actually more or less what you see now, with the big wooden or steel doors that open and close normally. And all the newer wings today are usually open bay. So what it is, it's a semicircle around a officer desk, and a semicircle of beds is what it is around an officer's desk, and with little partitions, so you're just surrounded. It's ignorant, but it is what it is.
What the hell?
Oh, the Manhattan House of Detention for Men. That's where they had it. That's where they filmed it. But anyways, it centers around not just the experiences of the gentlemen who are incarcerated, but how they react to, how the CO and the inmates react to a pedophile or a presumed pedophile that gets locked up. And if you guys had seen it, I'd be able to explain it more where you'd understand. But I don't know, it's pretty brutal. The only problem I had with it was that the issues that they were facing were more prison issues. A lot of the threats that were being made, and the guys, they dressed up as drag queens and sort of led through, the center floor. That's a prison thing. That's not a county jail thing. And movies do that a lot. They make prison and jail kind of the same thing. It's not. They're two completely different entities. They're run differently. The inmates behave differently. So that was disappointing. They're not the same thing. But Chris, if you get a chance to watch it, let me know, or Jason. And
I have it on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that was on Tubi, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's pretty.
It's on Tubi, T-U-B-I, baby. Anything else on that one?
Not on this one. Have you? Let me think. There was another one I was thinking of. Which was Tremors and Critters? This was like one a generic version of the other. I ran across those the other day. You know,
There
There's two
was a
different things.
there was a generic version of
they are
Tremors,
two
I
different
think.
things, but it's like didn't they come out around the same time? One was more obscure than the other. One was more. I was trying to figure out if it was as under the radar as what you needed, Chris, but I know one of them was kind of random.
I feel like Tremors is a little bit more well known than Critters because Kevin Bacon was in the original Tremors along with Michael Gross.
Everything's better with bacon.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly. I had some this morning, but and then Critters was like, Critters was more like mid to late 80s, and Tremors was more like 90, 91. And like I said, Kevin Bacon in it, had Reba McEntire in it. I mean, those were a lot bigger names.
Yeah, that's true. And then Ghoulies. You remember Ghoulies? Came out in
Yeah, Ghoulies go to college.
1983.
Yeah,
Ghoulies.
yeah.
When you guys were
Yeah.
discussing things that scared you as a child, it kind of watching that thing pop out of a toilet wigged me out pretty bad. So I was always leery of toilets, at least for the first couple of months.
Yeah, the tagline was, "They'll get you in the end."
Are you joking? Was it
No, that
really?
was legit. If you look at the poster, it says Ghoulies, and it has a ghoulie coming out of the toilet. It says, "They'll get you in the end." So
That's funny.
yeah,
That's funny. And of course, our mother, as a young person, you ask, could something like that really happen? And the way with our mom, anything's possible. Well, they do find snakes, and then she goes off on this tangent, and nothing to make you feel better. Just
That's what I hate. That's what I hate about
Yeah.
Asia. There's always that fear that a spider is gonna like crawl out from under the toilet.
yeah.
This place is so
Yeah.
nasty.
yeah. I would not want to be in some like jungle or foresty area with all the different kind of snakes and insects that can bite and kill you in Asia. That's for sure.
At least it's not Australia. I guess I got that going for me.
Australia's like,
Yeah.
there's so many things that can kill you in Australia. I don't even want to know. Not including kangaroos. So can you imagine getting the shit kicked out of you by a kangaroo? That'd be so embarrassing, but it happens. So,
That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kangaroos are dangerous.
yeah, they look pretty buff too, man. They come out all buff. They're
Mhm.
like, they come out pop, 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 pop. Like,
Yeah.
Before
We
you
saw
know
that-
it, it's over.
The kangaroo that attacked that dog, and then the dude like ran after the kangaroo and like punched it in the face. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they talk about how they can gut you with their toenails. Like they'll kick
Right.
out.
Has the dog, not the other way around. Max calmly waits for his owner to come and help. The buckaroo sees the odds stacking against him and tries to gut the dog with his claws one last time. His powerful arms anchor the dog by the breastplate as Max doubles his efforts to escape. Finally, the Roo switches his attention to Tonks and sizes up the human to be his next victim. Tonks gives the kangaroo his space, but the cranky buck comes forward, ready to attack. To save himself, he launches a right hand to the kangaroo's snout. The punch swivels the Roo's head as he throws his claws out to grapple and gouge. Then they eye each other off. Tonks makes the right decision again and backs off, leaving the buck stunned as to what has just taken place. he continues to stand his ground, like he has done many times before when fighting for breeding rights against other big boomers like himself. He eyes off Tonks again, possibly contemplating some revenge for the clip on the snoz. Luckily for everyone involved though, he decides enough is enough and goes about his day.
Yeah, you definitely, and you're not going to outrun a kangaroo, so if it's really pissed at you, it's going to get you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can just be like, okay, I'm going to punch it and run. It's like, no, he's going to track you down and,
Right.
get you. So, no kidding. All right, well, I'll show off one of mine. This is one that I think maybe we can talk about, like maybe do a review if we want. I don't know if you all have seen it. It's based off of a Ray Bradbury book from 1953, Fahrenheit 451. About is a dystopian, world, but basically the tagline is here: knowledge is a dangerous thing. And this is like a science fiction dystopian type movie, but unfortunately, it's kind of come to pass that this is more realistic than you would like to believe nowadays, unfortunately. And this movie stars Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon. Michael B. Jordan from the movie Creed fame. Also, he was in Black Panther, and then Michael Shannon was in Boardwalk Empire, Shape of the Heart. I mean, tons of movies and shows. But anyways, this is basically a world where any type of truth is burned. Their job of the Michael B. Jordan, the Michael Shannon character, is to track down any kind of physical media, books most importantly, but music, DVDs, musical notes, like sheet music, anything that can cause people to think for themselves or to question authority or the line the government gives you is to be found and piled up and then burned. And so knowledge is power, essentially, when it's talking about, and knowledge is a dangerous thing. And then of course Michael B. Jordan gets woke, essentially, and realizes that the stuff that they're actually burning is wakes him up and realizes that, like, he'd been told a lie this whole time. Like, there is a whole other world that is unbeknownst to him, and that people who refuse to comply, they will arrest and in some cases kill. And there's one thing that's really powerful with this old lady. She's been spending her whole life trying to accumulate all this stuff because she like runs an underground like railroad of knowledge, and that people who refuse to go down this path. And she is found in this like apartment building or whatever, and she refuses to leave, and so they burn her alive with all the books. And and it's just like really powerful because they know that information getting out to the public, and that people would end up waking up and realizing that they don't want people to find what they're trying to do, which is hide true knowledge from them. So anyways, it's a really good book. It's a good book, but it's a really great movie. I highly recommend it, because when this movie came out just a handful of years ago, you would have thought, oh, this is a great sci-fi movie. Like, this is cool. What? Now you're like, this is actually happening. Like, literally, this is actually happening. They're trying to make things like go down the rabbit hole and disappear. So they're not quite burning it in big piles of like books right now, but they're doing it digitally. So,
yeah.
So anyways, I don't know if anybody's seen that or not, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Sounds really good.
The premise sounds a lot like Equilibrium.
Yes.
And if I'm
So
not
that was
mistaken, the Genetic Opera was kind of like that too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Genetic Opera. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple different things I've seen that is like that, but this one was so powerful. Like, I was emotionally moved by it, because when I watched it for the first time, was just when everything started getting crazy here a couple years ago, and I just stumbled upon it like at a pawn shop, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I know this book, and I put it in and watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually like, this is really happening right now. Like, I mean, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. I mean, to that extreme, no, but the door has been cracked open, and now it's the reality of becoming more and more like that. So anyways, I know that's not what that's not what this channel is about, but it's definitely a very interesting view of the world. And the idea that Bradbury wrote that in 1953. So what is that now? 70 years ago, essentially, 69 years ago. I mean, it's mind-boggling that that's coming into reality. So yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna brighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, you do that, buddy. Billy Bright Eyes. Let's go.
Yeah. So my next one is Blast from the Past. And like I said, I don't know if
Oh
this is
yeah,
not much of
wow.
an under the radar, but people kind of forgot about it. It wasn't really
Blast from the
famous,
Past.
but it was released in 1998. And I know I went to see this in the theater. I don't know if you were with me or not, Kate.
I don't remember. I don't know.
But it was directed by Hugh Wilson, starred Brendan Fraser, Elisa Silverstone, Christopher Walken, and Sissy Spacek, and has an IMDb rating of 6.6. But essentially, the plot is Christopher Walken plays this eccentric American scientist named Calvin Weber, and he's like super freaked out about the Soviet Union and then the Cuban Missile Crisis. So he builds this fallout shelter in his backyard, and a airplane crashes into their house, and they had taken precautions and gone down in there. So when they heard the explosion and whatnot, he sealed this thing, and it's sealed for 35 years. And so after 35 years, the hatch opens because they're running out of supplies and whatnot. And Calvin sends Brendan Fraser's character Adam to the surface with his collection of baseball cards, hoping that they could exchange it for something, right? But long story short, he meets Eve, who's played by Alicia Silverstone. So you see the Adam and Eve thing. And he hires her to help him find supplies, find where he can sell these baseball cards, and find him a wife. And his mother explicitly said, bring home a girl from Pasadena who was not a mutant. So overall, the movie was funny. Probably not in my top 100, but it's definitely worth watching if you missed it, or worth watching if you forgot about it.
It's in my top 500, not my top 100.
I got bored at work and found that on YouTube. And I got through, I think, 3/4 of it. And yeah, I had forgotten about that one. It's cute. It's cute.
It's not real believable, but I thought it was funny. It had its funny parts. The Joey Slotnick character, that his mom opens a bar above where they like demolished the house. They built a bar above it. And like as it goes through time, it shows Joey Slotnick's character. Like it was like an ice cream shop or something at one point, and then it was a biker bar, and then by the time it's like the 80s, he's like an alcoholic, and then he gets into like these weird Eastern religions, and then like as Adam comes to the surface, they think he's like God, and so they start worshiping
Leave it
this
at
guy.
Brendan Fraser.
I don't know if it's obscure or not. I don't think it is. But it's another one that hit close to home because all the nonsense going on in the world is The Stand.
Stephen King's The Stand.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I watched that. I
That's a
don't
real
know,
downer.
about a month ago, and yeah, that it. I don't know if it made me feel really kind of weird about what's going on today. That was
I haven't seen it.
really.
Yeah, I saw it when it first came out. It was a made for TV miniseries.
It's about a pandemic
Shocker.
Splendid.
unleashed by the government. Double shocker.
I know. That would never happen around here.
No, poison us for money? No.
No. Get us all hooked up on get your Pfizer vaccine card that gets stamped every month. You know, your loyalty card.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Your papers, please.
Stephen King called it back then, man. Who knew? Oh man. But yeah, that's a good one. I highly recommend you checking it out. Yeah, I haven't seen it since probably then. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember liking it. There's a couple pretty jarring scenes in there.
Yeah, there was.
Well, so next up for me is a documentary about my favorite movie, and it's a pretty good one. I'm going to talk a lot about it because I'm a talker, so I'll try to keep it down. But this is a document of the dead based off of the movie Dawn of the Dead from 1978. I had the director Roy Frumke sign it back in the day. But anyways, it's basically behind the scenes of the movie Dawn of the Dead being made in 1978 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the mall, the Monroeville Mall. The director Roy Frumke's had unlimited access to the filming of the movie, which was a huge deal back then, because having someone being able to have that kind of access to the crew, the actors, the director, the special effects makeup was kind of unusual at the time, because mostly they'd be like somebody would do like magazine, like one, spreads, and they'll take a couple of shots of the film, like behind the scenes, and they'll make an article for like famous monsters. They'll do like an article before the movie comes out. But this was like the guy was on there the whole time filming, so it was really cool. And so yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about documentaries, but that's probably one of the fun for me. I love watching movies about documentaries. Like that's my movie documentaries about movies. Let me get my words correct. So I can watch almost anything, even if it's a topic or a subject of a director or a movie or a genre that I don't know much about. If it's about movie making, I want to watch it just because I find that interesting. So Document of the Dead is one of the movies that I think is worth checking out.
I have not seen nor heard of that one, but I agree. I like documentaries about movies. The one that's on Tubi about Pet Cemetery, I can't remember the name of it. That one was amazing.
Yeah, unearthing something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I want to see it too.
I wish I could remember the name of it, but I did a survey art and architecture class in college, and she had a documentary that dissected Dante's Inferno. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was said in the documentary that really stood out was a lot of people ask when reading Dante's why the people on on their little journey to hell keep moving forward, and he broke it down to it's human nature that people have to keep moving, even if it's to their own detriment. They can't just sit. And when I really thought about that, it creeped me out. But then I'm like, wow, that is absolutely right. You just keep walking towards it. Even if you know you're walking toward your doom, you don't sit, you don't wait, you don't stay put, you just keep going. I don't know what it is about people, but yeah, I should probably try to find that. And then Chris, I'll let you know. Chris and Jason, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm a huge fan. I'm much like that more than the Tom Hanks Dante Inferno. So yeah, let's go with that.
There's a Tom Hanks Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, but I think it's like off of that Matt Brown, one of that book series that he did, like Angels and Demons, and like what's it called? Like what was that initially? Like they found like all this stuff in like the Sistine Chapel or the
old girl's like the descendant of Christ, and
it was
the Da Vinci Code.
Awful.
Oh,
yeah, Da Vinci Code.
Okay, is that what you're trying to say? Okay, yeah. I couldn't.
But they have one that came out called Dante's Inferno.
I didn't like any of it. Oh, it's not obscure, but not Constantine. That's one of my favorites.
I love Constantine. Yeah,
and they're talking about. I know Keanu Reeves wants to do another one, and I really hope something happens because I love that movie.
I'm on board with that. Yeah. I'd rather him make another one of those than a freaking Bill and Ted movie. Like, what are you doing, dude? Or another Matrix movie. That movie was god awful. Yeah, he needs to stick with Constantine.
Yeah, that was awesome. He said he really likes that one, and I'm glad. I hate it when I really love a movie and the actor who was in it is like, I thought that was crap. It kind of just ruins it.
Yes, I agree.
But no, he liked that one. He said they interviewed him at some point through some venue, and he said he was very interested in doing another one. So I really hope that happens, and I hope Hollywood doesn't screw it up.
They will.
They've been screwing up a lot lately. Oh my gosh, trying to make everything so
PC and inclusive, and
oh my gosh, it's just oh,
don't
it's
even get me started.
so forced. It is so forced and awkward, like trying to jam and cram as much as that in, as they can into each segment, each scene, whatever. It's
Netflix is the worst in my opinion.
Yeah, they're really bad. They're spoon feeding it to us like we're infants. It's not even subtle. It's just awful. It's really poorly done.
All right, so
As soon as the cameras go off, I'll tell you how I really feel about.
Oh yeah, reel it in here, because
yeah, trust me, Chris knows.
we got the hurt feelings police on patrol.
Yeah, that's the real concern I have, is that we live in a world that people that have a different point of view, they can't handle it.
Somebody made the best comment about that the other day. They said getting upset over something online or on TV is just like choosing to step in dog shit instead of walking around it.
Exactly.
I was like, that's exactly what that is. Just turn it off. Fast forward through it.
Yep. No one's forcing nobody to watch it
and be mad about it.
But then I can't get on my soapbox and tell the whole world how I feel.
I guess. Well, that's kind of what we're doing right now, isn't it?
Right. Oh man. Yeah, that's a whole man, oh my gosh. Yeah, right. I'm trying to reel myself in because I would go off the deep end. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100% that, movies like Constantine, any kind of movie that was originally made for whatever, TV shows, movies that were made by the initial, vision of the director, the writers, of the actors, that should be able to be seen through the fruition, and it should not have people going in there tinkering with it to try to make it more acceptable in modern audiences or whatever. Like, leave it alone. It's like taking a TV show like The Wonder Years and then doing the exact same show but making it all with black people. It's like, watch the original Wonder Years, make a new show.
Make a new show
and do your thing. Don't call it The Wonder Years.
There's so many novel ideas out there. So many new people willing, with unlimited creativity, coming up with new stuff, and they're rejecting it all for recycled crap.
And all they're doing is cashing in on the name of the name of something else.
Yeah, it's lazy. It's lazy.
And like the best example of that also is like, if you remember about 10 years ago, they did the Karate Kid, and they called it the Karate Kid, except it was in China, Kung Fu. It had nothing to do with karate or America or anything. And they called it Karate Kid because Americans are so lazy and dumb. They just were like, oh, it's the same thing. No, that would be the Kung Fu Kid, because there's nothing about karate in the movie. There's nothing about Japan in the movie. And it's just like, that's Hollywood in a nutshell right there. Another movie you want to talk about?
I do. This one's pretty quick and to the point. Dark Side of the Rainbow.
Huh.
Has anyone heard of that? Probably not.
Does it something to do with Wizard of Oz?
It does. So probably about 25 years ago, I heard on 92.1 The Edge, if you're from the Lansing area, you know that was the bee's knees for alternative rock. And they were talking about the legend that Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, if you play it along to the Wizard of Oz, the music follows the action in the movie, and you had to start on the third lion's roar, which, back in the days with trying to coordinate a DVD player and a VHS tape was not the easiest thing. But somebody did the legwork and put it all together, and you can stream it on YouTube.
A CD player and a VHS, right?
Yeah.
Is that
What did I
you
say?
meant? You said DVD player and VHS.
Oh yeah. Don't mind me. But no, yeah, like I said, you can stream it on YouTube. It's pretty interesting, but it's something that a lot of people, I think, have forgotten about, unless you're like a big Pink Floyd fan.
I remember that. What about you, Kate?
Mm. I lost my train of thought. Keep talking, Jason, and it'll come to me.
All right, I'll show one here. I don't think I showed this the first time, and Chris, if you remember, stop me. I don't think I showed it, but this came out, I believe, in 1990. It's off of a book that Clive Barker had written, and it's called Nightbreed. And this is a like fantastical movie about fantastical characters. Clive Barker directed this also, so it was off of a book. I think this was called. They did called Cabal, which is what initial book and story he had written back, I guess, in the 80s. And then he directed this, and there's nobody here that's worth really noting except David Cronenberg plays like the serial killer murderer, and David Cronenberg's a famous Canadian director who did stuff like the remake of The Fly. He did a History of Violence. He did a bunch of movies like that. I mean, he did Brood and everything, all kinds of stuff. But anyways, it's a very strange movie. It's otherworldly. I might have already said that, but it's basically this guy is killed. This character named Boone, and he goes to this kind of like this alternate world of like demons, but the demons are like the good guys, and then like the humans are trying to kill the demons, and so they want you to be sympathetic, and there's all this kind of, I don't know the word, allegory, or like they're trying to like say stuff that the other, the different, are marginalized. So there's a lot of story they're trying to weave here, because Clive Barker is a gay man in real life. That's what he is. And so he's trying to do a lot of like, storytelling with this movie about there's, the different, the weird, the other is marginalized, and they're just trying to live their lives where other people will come and kill them when they find out that they're like, monsters. This is what he's trying to get across. But the movie itself is very good. If you're looking for the subtext, it's there. But I do enjoy this movie. The creature effects are cool in the movie. It's definitely very B movie. It's not like a great Hollywood anything, but I just love the movie tremendously. It's definitely something different. So there you go.
I saw that pop up on movie suggestions, and I should have watched it. Then I would have had something to say about it.
All right, yeah.
Talk about, I should say.
The next one I have is Eddie and the Cruisers, which was released
Oh
in
my gosh, yes.
released in 1983, directed by Martin Davidson, and stars Tom Berenger as Frank Ridgway, Michael Perry as Eddie Wilson, Joe Pantoliano as Doc Robbins, and Matthew Lawrence as Sal Amato. And that has an IMDb rating of 7. But basically, this movie is about a band called Eddie and the Cruisers, which was an up-and-coming band in Jersey in the 60s. And as they create some notoriety for themselves, it seemed like it was good enough for everybody except Eddie. Eddie was like, if it's not the greatest, then there's no point in making music anymore. That was just kind of his attitude. So after their first album had success, he really pushed his bandmates to the brink during the recording of the subsequent album, A Season in Hell, which was really ahead of its time. It had that 60s flair to it, but it had that aggression of the 80s mixed into it. And after the recordings were complete, the album was rejected by the record company. They said it was dark and strange, which is probably true. But after that kind of rejection, Eddie ran his car off of the Staunton Memorial Causeway, and they found the car, but they never found his body.
That's so punk rock.
Yeah, so that's kind of the movie in a nutshell, but it starts off 18 years after they released their first album, and they re-released the album, and it went higher on the charts than it did during its initial release, which sparked interest in whatever happened to the band, and especially Eddie, because this guy is still nowhere to be found. So a reporter picks up on the story and begins her own investigative journalism. And as the movie progresses through a series of interviews and flashbacks, the truth and the whole story begins to unfold. There is an Eddie and the Cruisers 2, so he's obviously not dead as this journalist predicted. I think he ended up living in Canada somewhere, and he was doing music up there. It's been a long time since I've seen the second one.
He better not be at no Canadian. He better not be at that Freedom Convoy right now. He'd be arrested.
And it's a great music and mystery movie with a little bit of drama sprinkled in there because Tom Berger ends up hooking up with his girlfriend, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
Eddie's girlfriend.
Tom Berger, man, look at that guy, strapping young lad.
But the soundtrack is probably the best part of this movie. And I don't know if you're familiar with John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, but they are absolutely amazing musicians, which they didn't have any notoriety as a band before they did the soundtrack for this movies. But you also probably recognize them from Rocky IV. They did Hearts on Fire, and I think they did a couple other songs for that soundtrack.
Fire. Yeah, dude, that montage was legit, was lit, as the kids say.
But yeah, it's like a 60s rock sound, but with this extra flair that, at the time, kind of like what's it, Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future when he's playing Johnny B. Good, and everyone's like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I know, Kate, you've seen it. I probably made you watch it to death.
To death, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but the music was outstanding. And I know we had a cassette tape of that rolling around. It was in the car for a while, and even Mom would listen to it. You talking about Eddie and the Cruisers reminded me of another movie we were watching around that time that I think fits into this category we're discussing, A Soldier Story.
Yep. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's a good one.
one.
I need to watch that one again. That was really something.
I watched that shortly before I came to Korea, so probably like back in early 2020, I watched that again. That had Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who else was in that movie. I think he might have been the only notable one, but yeah, that was really good.
No, there was more. I know there was. I think his I think the officer that was giving him a really hard time, and the one that was, I think he was recognizable. Again, I got to go back through and watch it and look at the cast. And then the one that was drunk and wound up getting shot. Did he shoot himself? He had something to do with the death of the officer being investigated, and I remember him being just absolutely obliterated, drunk, and he was kind of cornered and just in the middle of the road. Do you know what I'm talking about? What?
Yeah, they were at a checkpoint, and Adolf Caesar's character, he plays basically like he's a light-skinned black guy, and they accuse him basically, if I remember right, of being too white and trying to fit in with the white people. But yeah, he gets really drunk and he hits that checkpoint and the guy shoots him to death. And
that's right.
That was Denzel Washington's character, I think, was the primary one under suspicion. But David Allen Greer was in that movie. David Allen Greer was in that movie.
Anything you don't want to do, the colored troops will do for you. Anything you don't want to do, the colored troops will do for you. Anything you don't want to do, the colored troops will do for you. Anything you don't want to do, the colored troops will do for you.
That's enough. Let me tell all you fancy-ass ball-playing Negroes something. The reasons for any orders given by a superior officer is none of y'all's business. You obey them. This country is at war. And you niggas are soldiers. Nothing else. And something else. From now on, when I tell you to do something, I want it done. Is that clear?
Yes, sir!
Now get out of those baseball uniforms. I could smell you suckers before I hit the door.
Hey, what kind of colored man are you?
I'm a soldier, Peterson. And the kind of colored man that don't like lazy, shiftless Negroes.
Well, sir, you ain't got to come in here calling us names.
The Nazis called you Schwarzer. You gonna complain to Hitler they hurt your little feelings?
It don't look like to me we could do too much to them Nazis with paintbrushes, sir.
You trying to mock me, CJ?
No, sir, Sarge.
Good. Because whatever an ignorant, low-class Geechee like you has to say ain't worth paying attention to. Is it? Is it?
I reckon not, Sarge.
You a creep, Waters.
Sarge, just joking, Pete. He don't mean no harm.
No, he does. I mean, we're taking her from them white boys.
Yes, you do. And if it wasn't for you southern niggas, white folks wouldn't think we was all fools.
Well, where you from? England?
Okay. Looks like we got us a wise-ass Alabama boy here. Yes, sir. Now, don't you get smart, nigga.
Get your fucking hands off me.
You wanna hit old Sergeant Waters, boy? Come on. Please. Come on, nigga.
Tell-top!
At ease? Oh, what's going on here, Sergeant?
Nothing, sir. I was going over some batting techniques, sir.
Yes, he
David
was.
Allen Greer from In Living Color.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he wasn't cracking any jokes in that movie. It doesn't sound like it's that kind of movie.
No, it's really not. It's a pretty intense movie.
It is intense, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarge. Need some help?
Hi, Pete.
Oh, yeah, come on now. Here we go. It's the kind of help I'm gonna give you, boy. Shut up! Small, some people. Hey, if this was a German, would you kill it? Huh? If it was Hitler, that fucking Tojo, would you kill him?
There's a trick to it, Peterson. It's the only way you can win. See, CJ? He could never make it. He was a clown. A clown in blackface. A nigger. See? You got to be like them. But the rules are fixed and... Shh. Listen. Hear it? It's CJ. Slow down. Slow down, Dirty Shake. I made him do it. But it doesn't make any difference. They still hate you.
Peterson is justice, Smalls. It's for CJ. Everybody.
They still hate you.
It touches on a lot of racial hot buttons, and it doesn't do it in a way that it's very realistic.
It didn't mince
Very
words.
When did it take place?
When did the story take place?
Yeah, the actual story, not when it was filmed, but what decade were they talking about? Or time
This is
frame?
back in World War II.
Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know I've seen that movie before. I've never watched it, but I know now that you're talking about it, I know I've seen it or heard about it.
It
Now
was
that's a
good.
good one. That's definitely under the radar because it's, you know, almost 40 years old and it wasn't really big, I don't think, even back then.
No.
Yeah,
But it's got
I
an
would say
IMDb rating of
absolutely.
7.2. So
So I think it's better than that, but okay.
I'm going to give it a shot.
well, this is IMDb and they still think
No
that
pun intended.
what was that movie? Shawshank Redemption is like the greatest movie ever made, which I thought it was good.
Oh,
I don't think it's at the top of the list.
right.
No, it's a good movie, but not the best movie ever made. That's Spice World. Come on, let's
Oh,
get
yeah,
real here.
yeah. That's exactly it.
Honey, is it? So yeah,
Neck and neck with Crossroads.
exactly. Oh yeah, neck and neck with Crossroads. That's right. Britney Spears joints. Yes. Man. All right. So next one up for me will be the movie. It has a all-star cast, but a lot of the time I might have talked about this in the past. And again, Chris, tell me if I've brought this up, and I love this movie so much. It is Rounders. I don't know if you all have ever seen this movie, but it's basically Matt Damon is a law student, and at the very beginning of the movie, it shows him going to Atlantic City, and it's about No Limit Texas Hold'em. Which after watching this movie, like I was like, I want to become a poker player. It was like the most. It makes poker playing like the most sexiest thing in the world. It was like after watching Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, it made arm wrestling so sexy. Like I wanted to be an arm wrestler, like in all these like back alley trucker stops back in the 80s. And Rounders was like that for poker playing. But you have Matt Damon, you have Edward Norton, not Furlong. You have John Turturro in it. John Malkovich is in this as Teddy KGB, and it's a great movie. It shows you the underworld. Mark Landau's in here. It shows you the underworld of an underground of poker playing, and it's just such a good movie. I mean, it is high drama. You would think a movie about card playing could not be that exciting or interesting. Well, they freaking do it. They make it so interesting. The movie has to be like probably 2 hours long, 121 minutes. It came out in 1998, so the year I graduated high school. So it was awesome. I highly recommend this movie. Even if you just watch it one time and then you're just like, all right, it was what it is. I cannot highly recommend this movie enough. It is a fantastic film. So yeah, Rounders.
I have not
When
heard of that.
you talking about Rounders just jogged my memory here. Jason, I think you've probably seen these. I'm going to start with Six String Samurai.
Oh yeah, Six String Samurai. Yep.
Okay. Have you seen The Bellboy? Madonna makes a cameo.
That sounds familiar. I don't know if I've seen it, but that was also like a '90s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it, but it's been probably since then I've been watched it.
Yeah, it was that one, and The Cooler with Macy.
Yeah, John H. Macy, The Cooler.
Yes. That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, Maria Bello, the hooker with the heart of gold, who turned into being a cooler and to heat the tables up. Yes.
Yeah, your memory is insane, man. You remember everything.
Yeah, well, I'm a big nerd. So, what were you saying, Chris?
I was just saying I'd never heard of the movie.
Had you ever seen it, Kate? Rounders?
I had when it first came out, my roommate really liked it, and then that's why she was the same one who introduced me to Six String Bellboy and
okay.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, Kristen, if you have not seen it, dude, well, you've got any downtime this afternoon there in SK, baby. I would highly recommend it because that 2 hours flies by. It really is a great movie, and it's a great performances all around. So yeah.
All right. So
what's next up for you?
So my next movie is The Junction Boys. Has anyone ever heard of that?
I don't think so. Conjunction Junction. What's your function?
Now, the Junction Boys was a 2002 TV movie that was directed by Mike Robe and was starred Tom Berenger. He was the only one in that I recognized.
You're a Tom Berenger super fan. That's like the second movie you brought up with him, man. You probably got posters on him on your ceiling.
But now this movie takes place back in 1954 after Paul Bear Bryant had 8 consecutive winning seasons with the University of Kentucky. And before he led Alabama to 6 national championships, for a short time he was a coach at Texas A&M. And I think that the guys from Texas A&M, they were kind of soft. They were used to being treated a certain way, and Paul Bear Bryant comes in there and just tears these guys apart. And the movie takes place over the course of his first summer, and he took 100 hopefuls down to training camp in a place called Junction, Texas. And I mean, the temperatures would get up to like 114 degrees, and he had these guys doing 2-a-days, 3-a-days, just annihilated these guys. And of the 100, only 35 players actually survived that ordeal. And a lot of them were like running away in the middle of the night, having mommy and daddy come and pick them up. Some of them were legitimately hurt, due to heat stroke and things of that nature. Though they only won 1 game that season, it essentially formed the nucleus for that Texas A&M team that went undefeated 2 years later and became champions. So, it was kind of a under the radar one. And mom and dad had that on DVD. That's the only reason I knew about it. But it's not quite independent quality, but it's not quite Hollywood quality either. It's kind of in the middle. I think ESPN produced that one.
So it's an ESPN quality.
Sure.
So take that for what it's worth.
Well, ESPN quality for 2002, because they've upped their game.
Yeah, that's true. But since you ended with quality, I'm going to begin with the next one. The next one I show quality. This is a quality, and I should put quality in quotes. This is a quality blaxploitation film from the 70s that was a ripoff of The Exorcist. And that, which goes back to kind of what harkens back to what we talked about with Killer Joe and William Friedkin. So there was a guy named William Girdler from Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, who did a movie called Abby. And that's right here, Abby. It's a blaxploitation movie that ripped off The Exorcist.
That looks like fun.
Oh my gosh, it is so over the top ridiculous. So, I mean, if you know the Exorcist story, it's the exact same thing, but instead of Catholicism, it's like African spiritualism or something. The main actor in this is actually William Marshall. He plays like the priest. He was Blackula. If you remember back, I know Kate, you might remember this. Remember Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Yeah.
Do you remember the King of Cartoons, the black guy that's the King of Cartoons?
I do, yeah.
That's him. That's this guy
you're
here.
Kidding. Wow.
So that's the King of Cartoons.
Wow.
But he was he's the Exorcist guy, and then Abby, her name's Carol Speed, and I actually interviewed her years ago. I actually found her in obscurity, living in Oklahoma, and I brought her onto my own podcast with a buddy of mine. And brought her out of obscurity because no one knew where she was. People thought she was dead, actually. So, but anyways, she plays the Abby character, like the Exorcist type character. And I mean, as you can expect, it's 70s, it's exploitation, it's black exploitation. So it's just like super cheesy special effects, music, everything. Acting is like, real kind of hokey, but it's a great movie for just a good laugh. It's a good drinking movie.
That's cool.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw some out there that most people wouldn't know about, or at least I don't think. So, Chris, close it for us.
All right.
Lock it down.
All right, so the last movie I have is Field of Lost Shoes. Has anyone heard of that one?
Nope, you lost me at Lost Shoes.
All right, so this was released in 2015. It was directed by Sean McNamara. It stars Michael Krebs as Abe Lincoln, David Arquette as Captain Henry DuPont, Courtney Gaines as Captain Chinook, which I didn't know he was in this movie. You know who Courtney Gaines is?
Probably by sight.
Malachi, dude.
Malachi from Children of the Corn, and Hans from The Burbs.
Let's go, Doc. Hey! Pinocchio! Where are you going? Gotcha!
And Jason Isaacs was in this as General John C. Breckinridge, and Keith David played a small role as Old Judge. It had an IMDb rating of 5.8.
Sounds right.
I thought it was better than a 5.8, but basically...
I'm just messing with you, dude.
This movie is based on a true story during the American Civil War that kind of culminates at the Battle of New Market in May of 1864. And it surrounds a group of teenage cadets that were kind of sheltered from the war at the Virginia Military Institute. And things get so bad for the South that they actually call these guys into action. So I thought what was really neat about that is they showed, some of these guys at VMI that left to go fight with the North. So, it just shows you how close these people were, regardless of which side they were on. But from the VMI website, it says that the VMI Corps of Cadets fought as a unit at the Battle of New Market, Virginia on May 15th, 1864. The cadets, numbering 257, were organized into a battalion of 4 companies of infantry and 1 section of artillery. 10 cadets were killed in battle or died later from the effects of their wounds, and 45 were wounded. The youngest participating cadet was 15 years old.
Wow.
So on May 10th, 1864, the VMI Corps of Cadets was ordered to join General John C. Breckinridge's Confederate forces near Staunton, Virginia. After marching nearly 85 miles north, the Corps arrived at New Market on Sunday morning, May 15th, 1864. General Franz Sigel's Union troops positioned atop Bouchong's Hill raked the Confederate line with cannon and musketry, creating a gap in the line. And as a result, John Breckinridge did not want to use those guys. So, what's his name? Jason Isaacs redeemed himself after The Patriot. Okay. He was such a jerk in that movie, but in this one, he really did not want to use those guys, and he kind of kept them in the back. He's like, I'm only going to use this as an absolute last resort. But that's what he ends up doing, is using these guys. And
well, there is one more possible solution. We have 250 trained troops and artillery less than 50 miles from Stanton.
Jesus, Charlie, the schoolboys again.
Cadets, just in reserve. And only if Warden and Eccles are delayed.
In reserve to fight. And if we have to put those children in to fight, then what kind of dire circumstances will they find themselves in?
Yes. They are young. And yes, you have told me on 6 occasions in the last 4 days that you will not permit them near the gap.
And I won't.
But we do need them, just in case, sir. He's getting into position.
Cavalry probe.
Already commenced.
Reserve units.
All in position, including the cadets.
I want those boys at the very rear. You understand me? I want to protect it.
Of course they are. They've torn a hole in the center of our line.
If we concede, so do we lose.
Sir, you must put in the reserves to restore the line. When the Union forces regroup and counterattack, that line will divide in two. They'll pour right through the hole in the center. Sir, you must put in the cadets.
Send the boys in. May God forgive me.
Sorry.
Guys. And, they were full of piss and vinegar looking for a battlefield victory. And they ended up filling the gap in the line and took a field artillery position. And where the movie gets its name from is they had just plowed that field and it had been raining. So as they jumped over the picket fence, a lot of the guys lost their shoes as they were trying to push forward. And so that section of the battlefield now is known as the Field of Lost Shoes.
That's nuts, dude. I've never even heard of that. I'm definitely interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I think Civil War movies.
I won't be wearing shoes either, just to be in lockstep with them. I'm gonna refuse to wear my shoes.
Yeah, Civil War movies, they're hard to take because they're usually like 5 hours long, and I just don't think that they get the recognition that they should. And it's still kind of one of those obscure parts in our history when it comes to cinema. There's really only a handful of movies out there that have any notoriety. Gettysburg, Gods and Generals. What's the other one with Matthew Broderick? Glory. But outside of those, there's just really not that many well-known Civil War movies, unless you know something that I don't.
No, I mean, I feel like those are pretty much the standard ones, So yeah. Well, again, like we talked about before, I've mentioned this before. Getting those type of movies and anything else that's talking about the movie and or about that type of topic and a quasi-realistic version of that made more and more likely disappear. So it might be worth holding on to those things because any depiction that's not going to be a certain slant could disappear off of streaming services one day. So it may be worth tracking down physical copies of some of that stuff, but I will definitely check it out. So that's good though, dude. I appreciate you. This has been a lot of fun, man. I always enjoy these type of shows.
Chris, you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. I'm used to the Brady Bunch, like 3 screens so we can all see each other.
I thought you were going to be passed out on the floor.
Yeah, this is, thanks for letting me hang out. It's always fun. I wish didn't have so much to do today and I would have been able to research a little more, try to jog my memory. So I was very unprepared. I'm sorry.
Well, the good news is we can always do another one. So this kind of topic never will ever get old, really, because there's always things to discover. There's always new movies that you find. So
yeah.
But with that being said, Chris, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up?
No, I think we reached a good point.
Well, we appreciate everybody watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Like we mentioned at the beginning, if you've seen some of these movies that we discussed, tell us what you think. That's one of the big things. If you have a list that you like to add, like some movies you think we should watch, suggest it at the bottom here below, and let us know what movies you've been watching. And I don't know, Chris and I haven't really talked about the next thing we're going to do, but we're probably going to do some sort of a movie discussion, I would assume, since we hadn't done one in the next week or last week or two. So we'll probably do one of those. So, but hope you all enjoy, and we'll look forward to doing another one of these in the future.